Hello there everybody, thank you for stopping by. This is a little bit of a different video than what I've been doing before, but I have had several requests for me to share my affirmations on video. And so it seems kind of silly to me, but since there were several requests, I haven't forgotten that, and I haven't forgotten you that requested. And so I thought, okay, let me just go ahead and do this today. So first of all, I am a big believer in affirmations. I do believe that they can change our life. They kind of help us get into the right mindset to start making some of those positive changes for our lives that we would all like to see happen. And so this is just kind of the intro to that. Just letting you know I believe in that. The very first affirmations that I ever said were probably in my last apartment starting a few years ago. My significant other at the time was dying. He was in hospice. I had just moved just months before that to a completely new state, over 800 miles away from anything and everything that I had ever known before. I was basically starting my life over. The apartment I lived in was a one-room efficiency apartment. I had a kitchen, I had a living room that was also a bedroom, that was also an entertaining room. That was also where I was actually doing readings for people at the time, because I was doing readings on the side while I worked a 40-hour job. The job that I had at the time was a temp job. It was not even a full-time job. And so I would get up every morning and I would look at myself in the mirror, and as I was getting ready to brush my teeth, I would say, my life is getting better every single day in every single way. Everything that I have is being upgraded and never downgraded. And my relationships are getting better, and this also includes my living conditions and my living space, my home. This includes my job and my vehicle. And so I would say an affirmation to that effect every day. And what happened was quite amazing. My relationships were getting better. I was getting better at communicating with other people. I was getting better at listening to what they had to say to me. And so as a result, my relationships were getting better. Also, those people who were not in healthy relationship with me, in other words, they really being in a relationship with them hurt me much more than it helped me. Those people kind of fell out of my life. It wasn't like we had big arguments or fights or whatever, but they just kind of drifted off to somewhere else. So that was a positive thing. And people that were better for me would started to drift into my life. Also, at the same time, some things happened with my car. I had a very old car. I actually still have the same car. I had a very old car, and some things happened. It was actually a part of a flood, and before it sat in the flood, every time it would rain, this car would kind of sputter down the road. Nobody really seemed to be able to tell me what the problem was. And so after it sat in the flood, of course I had to take it to the shop, and I had to have the carburetor replaced because the carburetor had gotten completely damaged and unusable from the flood. Well, whenever the carburetor was replaced, I don't know if it was something about the connections to the carburetor or if it was the carburetor itself, whatever it was. After that, my car started running much better, much better. Shortly after that, my apartment actually developed a leak in it, and it was a long-term leak. And every time they would come out and look at this leak, they would think it was something else, and they couldn't fix it. And you know, they would say it was something, and then they would fix that, and then the leak would still be there. And so I had this leak for 3 or 4 weeks in my apartment. So that doesn't really sound much like the affirmation was working, does it? The thing was, though, that what happened was eventually mold developed in my apartment, and mold is a very serious health issue. And so the owners of the building had to do something about the mold. I couldn't be in the apartment while they were doing that, and they didn't have any other place to put me while they worked on that apartment to make it more livable again. And so I ended up finding a whole new apartment. I was released from my lease at this efficiency like about 8 months early. I found a whole new apartment that is perfect for me now. I'm on my own. I'm not with anybody. So I have a single bedroom. apartment with a kitchen, with a living room, you know, and so a much better place for me to be living, definitely an upgrade there. And I'm actually only paying $5 more a month here than I paid in that place. Plus, that place I was also paying utilities. I don't pay utilities here. That's a part of the deal. So obviously an upgrade financially as well. So, yeah, so affirmations work. That was my first one. I probably said that one for maybe a year or maybe slightly longer than a year before I got into the new apartment. And I think the car happened maybe about 6 months before then. During that time, my partner did pass away. And the interesting thing is that was actually the beginning of my psychic abilities. So when he passed away, we still continued communicating, much to my surprise. And so we actually still have a relationship. So I guess you could call that relationships getting better. So that was the first affirmation that I ever did, and that was the effects that it had on my life. And I just am recording this because I want to encourage anybody out there who, if your life is not where you want it to be in any way, that there are things that you can do about that. And maybe they take a little bit of time, but who cares? What's going to happen if you don't do it? Things are going to stay the same or get worse. So, you know, try doing some affirmations, and if they take a little time, okay, but if things start getting better after a little time, isn't that a win? So, that's that. Everybody have a great day. Peace out, and thank you for visiting.